The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation promotes, preserves, and perpetuates music, culture, and heritage through programs, cultural, educational, and economic activities year-round. Learn more at jazzandheritage.org. This program is brought to you in part by the Eugenie and Joseph Jones Family Foundation, a local foundation proud to support education, the arts, and culture in the greater New Orleans area. The Chicory House Bistro at the Rink offers breakfast and lunch daily. And now a new bar upstairs inside the Garden District Bookshop, 2727 Britannia Street at Washington Avenue. Learn more at therinknola.com. Steppin Out is made possible in part by Susie and Pierre G. Villery.
Whether it's the latest museum exhibit, the newest restaurant, or the current hot play,
we appreciate the weekly updates on the arts, music, and entertainment.
Let's step out.
I'm Peggy Scott Laborde, and welcome to Steppin Out with updates from the local restaurant, arts, and entertainment scenes. Joining me, Alan Smason, editor of the Crescent City Jewish News and theatercriticism.com.
Hi, Peg.
Howdy. Alfred Richard, movie critic for WWL-TV. Hello.
Hello there.
Hi. And making her Steppin Out debut, Stacey Pfingsten. And she is the executive director of the Louisiana Landmark Society and the historic Pitot House and Gardens. Welcome to our show.
Oh,
Hello.
thank you so much for having me.
Hey, of course, glad to have you. And I'm so excited. We have an interview with famed singer-songwriter John Oates a little bit later. He is here this weekend for the Ozone Songwriters Festival. Poppy returns next week. Alfred, a very highly anticipated film preview, and something that's just about to open. I can't wait.
This is something, in the last few months, we've had films, the last couple of years, we've had films that are big casts and turn out to be Oscar bait, meaning they're trying to get all the stars in and hoping that the Academy will notice, and sometimes the Academy says, no, we're not noticing this. This one I don't think is going to have a problem. This one is Conclave. This has elements, in my mind, when I saw this film, it reminded me of elements of The Shoes of the Fisherman. It's a mystery, it's a whodunit situation, but it has a fantastic cast. Ralph Fiennes, he portrays Cardinal Lawrence, who the Pope has died suddenly, and so the Pope has gotten this cardinal to convene the conclave of bishops, the conclave of cardinals, to pick the next pope. Now, if you remember a bit of your history, after Pope Paul passed away, there was Pope John Paul I, Albino Luciani. He died after only 34 days in the papacy, and there has been all sorts of conspiracy theories of what happened to Albino Luciani, which led to, of course, Cardinal Karol Wojtyła, who became Pope John Paul II and rose to ranks and wound up being Pope for decades. Well, Ralph Fiennes tries to put all of these different men together in the conclave in the Vatican to decide who's going to be the next guardian.
And what a cast, huh?
Great cast.
Oof.
Another person who's looking as a possibility for a Best Supporting Actor, Stanley Tucci. Stanley Tucci's good in just about everything he does. He plays one of the cardinals who's trying to advise Cardinal Lawrence. Also, John Lithgow. Now, John Lithgow has gone from The World According to Garp, where he played Muldoon, a transgender individual, to Third Rock from the Sun. He plays a scheming member who's trying to advise Cardinal Lawrence as well. But it's not just an all-boys club. Isabella Rossellini is there. She plays one of the nuns who watches over the cardinals. And although the cardinals always stress, well, she's not a member of the church of voting, she has a say-so in this. I really did like that film and like this film. Rated PG, in wide release right now. Probably will get a lot of nominations, especially Ralph Fiennes and Stanley Tucci. So I would say go see Conclave, and you don't have to be shuttered in to see it. Now, when I do reviews for Channel 4, sometimes I pick a film that needs a little work or some help, and that's why I brought my trusted film can, patent pending. This next film is a rarity, especially for Steppin Out. It's called Venom: The Last Dance. It has absolutely nothing to do with the 6'10" Stompers or whatever it doesn't matter. Tom Hardy plays Eddie. He is the host of a alien symbiote, and this symbiote, 2 movies ago, took over his body. It's supposed to be a spin-off or a spin away from the Spider-Man ethos, but you got to go into the whole thing about Sony Pictures taking it over and giving the Marvel production. It's a lot of stuff. Let's just put it this way. And the symbiote and Tom Hardy's character go on a road trip. Yes, it's a road movie.
Is the symbiote is it a snake?
It's an alien form that takes over his body. That's why it becomes this black mass onto his body. And he's trying to deal with the best he can. It's called The Last Dance because where does he head? He heads to Las Vegas because, of course, they always do. Is this a great movie? No. In fact, if you saw Venom 1 and Venom 2, and if you didn't like those first 2, you probably will not like that one. So, as I would do sometimes with Channel 4, or as we now say, WWL Louisiana, I take out my patented flag and I have to do this to the screen. Save your money, folks, because that one you may want to wait until it's streaming.
Okie dokie.
Rated PG-13.
Thank you so much. And moving over to Stacey. Stacey, my goodness, the Pitot House. And I know some people are probably thinking, wasn't it the Pitot House? Okay. Now, this was originally the home of the 3rd mayor of New Orleans. We're talking
First U.S. mayor of New Orleans from 1804 to 1805, just after the Louisiana Purchase.
Okay, all right. And this is someone who, though, name was Pitot.
Right, correct. He arrived from Normandy, France, and when he immigrated in Philadelphia, he arrived as Jacques-Francois Pitot. But he anglicized it to be James Francis Pitot. So I tell our guests, you know, potato, either is truly correct, Pitot or Pitot. So we accept both. Both are technically correct.
This is a 1799.
1799, yes.
Creole-style cottage, kind of very Caribbean looking.
It is West Indies, and we're one of the few remaining West Indies-style homes in Louisiana.
Beautifully done and beautifully restored. Now, as we show pictures of it, we also want to point out that that's not the original location, is it?
That is not the original location. It is a great preservation success story for New Orleans. It actually was located where Cabrini High School is now, just a mere 220 feet. And I know that just because I know the cost of what it, was to move it 220 feet back in 1964, and it was $10,000 that the Louisiana Landmark Society had to raise. We were instrumental in moving the house. Harnett T. Kane, who was our president at the time, brokered a, sort of a deal that we would want to take the house and if we moved it. And Arbery Brothers, who still is in the neighborhood, and they moved it for us in 1964, and that's equivalent now to almost $100,000.
But it was moved because they were building at the then new Cabrini High School.
Correct.
So the nuns said, take it, but you got to take it within a certain, because I'm a Cabrini alum, so I know a little bit of the story, so forgive me. But so they said, okay, if you're interested in trying to save this, but you got to move it by this day. And it was very touch and go because they had to raise the money.
Right, we didn't know I don't think they knew if we would be able to raise the money. And where were they going
to put it to? They had to figure out where was it going to go.
They had to work with the city to find a place.
Hats off to the Louisiana Landmark Society.
And the upper layer, and we have these great photos at the house, everyone should come tour, of it having the upper core on the back of a semi. trailer and to move it over to where it is now. And then the lower core had to be rebuilt because New Orleans is known for soft bricks, and it just wasn't stable enough for us to move the whole house.
And you're open for tours.
We are open for tours Wednesday through Friday, 10 to 3. And we'd love to have everyone over.
And it's you know, the house, but you also have some lovely gardens. It's a small garden.
We have a Pitot garden, which is a 15th century France design and geometric shapes, and it's known for its dynamic looking, little pathways, little hedges. It's very pretty.
Right on the bayou.
Yes, right on the bayou.
And something really exciting is happening on Sunday.
Yes, we're throwing Pitot House a big party on Sunday. It is our 225th birthday celebration. And we are so excited to have everyone over. It's going to be a pretty big deal for us. We are a small nonprofit. We're going to have a 10-piece band by Leo Oliveira. We also are going to have a specialty cake designed for us by local baker Nalita Bakery, and they are doing a spice cake. Like they would have done at any celebration back in the 1800s with a little citrus accent. I guess in the South they would do a little citrus accent. So it's going to be such a fun time.
Very fun time. And appreciate all that you all do. You point out buildings throughout the year that are really in danger of being
we have our New Orleans 9 list.
Down
and we're advocates every day. We have our eyes open all the time, and are always looking for our most vulnerable properties here and to keep our historic character in New Orleans.
Keep on keeping on.
Yes, thank you.
Before we go to you, Alan, I have got to show you everybody these wonderful cookies. They were created by Joan Farrell Mathis. She's known for her decorative cookies. And also, look at those. Aren't they great? And then we've got some Tootsie Roll Pops that are like ghosts, and both of these are courtesy of our dear friend Maria K. Chetta. Thank you, Maria K. We'll definitely enjoy that. And on to you, sir.
All right. Well, Antoinette and Wandu has described Passover as a combination between Samuel Beckett's Waiting for Godot, and that's not Godot, and the American Black experience. It largely grew out of a response to the perceived racism and inertia that kind of followed the death of Trayvon Martin back in 2014. D.C. Paul and Martin Batts Bradford stars Moses and Kitch, while Keith Clavery plays the man. Again, Moses has some biblical implications there. Passover opens tomorrow night at the New Orleans African American Museum in Treme for a 3-week run, and also opening, that's going to be great. But we also have some more openings I have to talk to you about. Jekyll and Hyde tomorrow night also at the Jefferson Performing Arts Center. This is a photo of the beautiful Stephanie Aubrey, who recently starred in Beautiful at Le Petit and Sweeney Todd at Summer Lyric. She's front and center as Lucy. You will not want to miss this. This is going to be, and of course, you're Taylor Swift. We can't get you to go away from that. But if you're not going to be with Taylor, go see the Jefferson Performing Arts Center's Jekyll and Hyde that JPAS is putting on. Again, they now call themselves JPA for Jefferson Performing Arts. A third opening this weekend is for Rivertown's The Toxic Avenger, and it's a comic take on heroes and pushback against environmental disaster. Now, Alfred just grimaced a little bit because it was originally a 1984 film, and not a very good film at that. This is directed by Gary Rucker. The Toxic Avenger oozes onto the stage tomorrow, and it won't be cleaned up until November the 10th. The Toxic Avenger at Rivertown. And it wouldn't be Halloween without at least one production of Rocky Horror playing somewhere. For those of you who are looking to do the time warp again, Cutting Edge Theater is having 2 more shows tomorrow and Saturday nights at 8 p.m. Rocky Horror Show. And so check that out. And this is all happening, of course, locally, Peggy. But I wanted to bring you up to speed on a project that is now in previews on Broadway and has more than just a little interest to local audiences. This is the Tony Award winner, James Monroe Iglehart, right there in the center, who's playing Louis Armstrong in A Wonderful World at Studio 54 in New York. That's the Louis Armstrong musical. Much of the original book we saw here last year at the Sanger has been rewritten. Branford Marcellus has been hired to render new arrangements and orchestrations, and Iglehart and Christina Saju have been hired as co-directors to the original lead director, Christopher Renshaw, who came down here for the Satchmo Fest a little over a year ago. So again, A Wonderful World, the Louis Armstrong musical, now in previews. It's going to open in November. Check that out. Also, coming up around that same time will be the next production of the New Orleans Opera stage performance of Camille Saint-Saëns' Samson et Dalila. Now, for those of you who are going to be going to that, playing the female lead will be Rayanne Bryce Davis, who this past Tuesday entertained a nice crowd at the New Orleans Opera Guild House with a program of lieder and gospel and popular song. And Rayanne, who plays half the year in Europe and the other half in the States, delighted the crowd with pieces by William Walton and Roger Hammerstein and so many others. That's her. Those are pictures I myself took. I have the privilege of letting you know that she will be my guest on the NOLA Theater Talk Show next Monday at 8 o'clock. You can see and hear her on the NOLA Theater Folk Facebook group, the theatercriticism.com Facebook page, and of course my own YouTube channel. This is a great talent, and again, for those of you who have not heard her, a spectacular voice, and she's going to be just quite wonderful.
All right, thank you very much, Alan. And on Friday evening, singer-songwriter John Oates will headline this weekend's Ozone Songwriters Festival. Earlier today, he came by our WYES studios.
I know what will be as you're gone. I better learn how to face as you're gone. I pay the devil to replace her, baby. Get your smile. Smiling down on me. The lights at the party burn bright. I'm leaving early tonight. I'm making ready for my reunion. Oh, you can build and burn and borrow and put up your posted sign, but this field is mine.
John, you're playing into small and medium-sized groups and the venues that you want.
Yes.
And that's the way you like it these days.
It is exactly the way I like it. It's really freeing to know that I can tour and perform the way I want to for as many shows as I want to do, and in these really small, medium-sized, intimate venues that really lend themselves to music. Because at this point in my life career, it's really all about playing music, the quality of it, the sound of it, and doing it with people I like and my friends. So it's really, those smaller, medium-sized venues are perfect, perfect setting for that.
An evening of song and stories.
Yes.
What can we expect?
Well, you can expect songs and stories.
Please expound.
Expound, yes. Yeah, I like to, I think it's really interesting. Years ago when I started doing a lot of solo work, I wanted to play my new music. And of course, a lot of people wanted to hear the old Hall & Oates songs, of course, which is, of course, normal. But I really wanted to promote and let people hear what I was currently doing. And what I learned very quickly was people will listen politely to a new song. However, if you set it up and put the song into some sort of context by telling the story either about the song or how the song was written, they listen to it in a different way. They listen to it almost as if they know the song. So it's really become, and that was the kind of the key that unlocked this this thing that I could create a evening of my new music and have people accept it because of the fact that they feel more comfortable by hearing the background stories to the songs.
Now, you continue to write new music.
Yes.
Any advice to budding songwriters
Oh.
since you're at a songwriting festival this
Yeah,
weekend?
well, I think it's the same advice that, all musicians, I think, follow, is that when you're growing up and you're, trying to figure it out, you listen to the people you love. You study them. Not only listen to them, but you try to learn their music, because when you learn someone else's song, it's an insight into how they think emotionally, musically, instrumentally. You hear the type of chord changes that they do. You understand how they impose the melody over those chord changes. So that it can, listening and really studying from the folks that you really, really love, and in many ways copying them.
Who inspires you?
Oh, well, I get inspired every day by new artists who I'm just rediscovering, and of course, but it's really, for me, it's the history of the music that I heard as a child, and I think everyone is deeply influenced by the music they hear in their childhood and in their teenage years, and that music stays with you forever, and there's something about that. So I listen to. I'm old enough to remember music before rock and roll. So my parents played me Glenn Miller and Lionel Hampton and all the big bands, Tommy Dorsey and things like that. So that's the first music I remember hearing. And then I went on from there. Of course, rock and roll began, and I listened to rock and roll, and so on and so forth.
So Friday night at the Furman Auditorium, it sounds like it's going to be great fun. But you also have a new single out. Tell us about that.
Yeah, new single with it's a collaboration with a really great young R&B singer from Philadelphia named Devin Gilfillian. I hope people will check him out. He's fantastic. We met in Nashville. I saw him perform, and I thought he was great. I loved not only his musicality and his singing, but I loved his energy. And I introduced myself. We chatted for a bit and hit it off, and we put a songwriting session together. And right as he was coming over to the house, my wife pulled out her tarot cards and said, pick one. And so I picked one, and it said Mending. And I thought, wow, what a great title for a song. And when he came over, I showed him the card, and he laughed, and he said, that's great, let's do it. And that's how the song really began.
Well, so appreciate you being with us, and here's a little bit of Mending.
All right.
Alrighty, the Ozone Songwriter Festival in Covington continues through Sunday. ozonemusic.org for all the information. And by the way, let me just point out, though, for the John Oates evening, if you want to buy, there are all kinds of tickets available. If you want to buy, in terms of different kinds of tickets, a VIP ticket, then you get to go at 5. It's $6.15 for everybody else if you're not a VIP, but if you're going to the concert. Maggie Kerner and Greg Barnhill will also be performing that night. It's expected that John Oates will perform roughly about 8 o'clock. But anyway, should be great fun. And I'm so excited because that festival has really expanded. And congrats to Greg Barnhill and his wife and so many others who've worked so hard over the last few years. Okay, time for picks, which I will actually kick off. The big book sale, sponsored by the Friends of the Jefferson Library, we're talking really big, takes place through Sunday at the Pontchartrain Center. Go to friendsofjeffersonlibrary.org for more info. The Piety Market will take place this Friday from 4 to 9 p.m. and will include a haunted haute couture fashion show. Say that real easily. At 7:30, 2317 Burgundy. Food, vintage clothing, and live music by Margie Perez and Steve Kasich. Go to Piety's Facebook page for further details. The New Orleans Ballet Theater presents their own rendition of Dracula. Woo! And that is Saturday, Sunday, and Wednesday at the Orpheum, Sunday, Wednesday Saturday at the Orpheum. Yeah, and Saturday too. Go to NewOrleansBalletTheater.com for details on that. Alan, your pick.
Well, the Louisiana Philharmonic Orchestra is going retro. They're going to return with the Lost Bayou Ramblers, the Cajun group with whom they had won that Grammy Award with Carlos Migo Prieto. Now they're upping their Cajun and French patois by inviting Sweet Crew to join with them on the stage. And that'll be at the Orpheum next Friday night in a program to be conducted by Matthew Kramer. And by the way, in 2 weeks' time, Matthew will conduct Holst the Planets, which is a concert that is already 92% sold out and could be a complete sellout by the time of the concert. Get your tickets now, I advise you, or you could be saying, like John Oates, I can't go for that.
Alfred.
Oh, my goodness. All I can say is this. Alan, you mentioned about the Rocky Horror Show, which, of course, gave us the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Oh, Rocky! And that is part of the Britannia's week of Halloween treats. They call it Kill-O-Rama.
Okay.
That's what it's called. And it's at the Britannia Uptown for Halloween week.
Stacey.
Well, mark your calendars for some holiday shopping at the Pitot House on December 8th from 10 to 5, and we're going to have arts and craft vendors, we're going to have live music, and just a lot of fun.
Sounds great. Thank you. And I have just a few more picks on Saturday at Lafreniere Park, the Louisiana Walks for Parkinson's. The race is at 11, but you can register at parkinsonswalk.org much earlier. Entry fee includes T-shirt and refreshments and music. On Saturday evening, WYES presents 3 episodes from the mad scientist Morgus the Magnificent, narrated by our own Alan Smason. These shows from the 1980s includes The Good Doctor and locals' memories of him, Mr. Morgus. And that is Saturday, once again, from 9 to 11. WYES and WYES.org and the PBS and YES apps. Don't forget the Oak Street Poor Boy Festival on Sunday starting at 10 a.m. Free, but you have a fee to purchase Poor Boys. You have to pay a little something and it helps cover the live music. PoorBoyFest.com. And the Fallburg Marigny Association walking tour. They'll be holding a walking tour that includes this historic Sun Oak home. They'll be passing by there. The tour begins at Washington Square, and that's at Elysian Fields and Royal, fmia.org for more info on that. And the Symphony Chorus of New Orleans presents The Armed Man, a Mass for Peace on Sunday at 3 p.m. at St. George's Episcopal, right there at 4600 St. Charles Avenue. You can purchase tickets at the door or go to symphonychorus.org. Thank you all so very much. And thank you. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.
Programming on WYES is made possible in part by Susie and Pierre G. Villery.
From Masterpiece to Nova, Antiques Roadshow to Agatha Christie.
And of course, Steppin Out and Informed Sources.
We are pleased to support public television
It's been our passion.
for a lifetime.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation promotes, preserves, and perpetuates music, culture, and heritage through programs, cultural, educational, and economic activities year-round. Learn more at jazzandheritage.org. This program is brought to you in part by the Eugenie and Joseph Jones Family Foundation, a local foundation proud to support education, the arts, and culture in the greater New Orleans area. The Chicory House Bistro at the Rink offers breakfast and lunch daily. And now a new bar upstairs inside the Garden District Bookshop, 2727 Britannia Street at Washington Avenue. Learn more at therinknola.com.